All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Adams. I'm the Associate Vice President for Oakland Advancement, really focusing mostly on activities and programs on our Oakland campus and really supporting our great group of Mills alumni who live all over the world. With me today is my sidekick, Violet. I hope you don't hear her snoring. She's really loud. I think Zoom does a good job masking it. Um, and I am just really thrilled to have you all here to hear more about what's been going on at the Mills Institute. This will be kind of a year in review from Christie and her team. We're obviously recording this. We'll share it with all alumni by email so that everyone can benefit from this information. Some just quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll get to questions at the end. We've saved some time to address any questions about the Mills Institute that you might have. If you have questions unrelated to the Mills Institute, maybe about the Oakland campus or about Mills at Northeastern or other things kind of happening at Northeastern, I'm happy to stay on after the presentation and answer those questions. I have some time following our kind of predicted end time of 1 o'clock. So I'm happy to stay on and chat with all of you. We love to see your faces too, as I always say. So if you are able, please keep your cameras on. And if you wanted to add your class year to your name on your little Zoom window, that's always fun too. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Christie.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Hi, everyone. So good to see all of you. I recognize many of your faces and your names. So good to see you. So thank you so much for taking time to be here with us today. We have about an hour, so we're really excited to tell you what's been going on at the Mills Institute, introduce some of our programs and research to you, and also have you tell us what you want to see in the future as well, because we see all of you as partners as we continue to build this really exciting institute. So a little bit of history about the Institute. I know all of you probably know that it was created during the merger between Mills College and Northeastern University. I stepped in to lead the Institute about 2 years ago now. Time truly flies. And it's been an amazing 2 years of seeing the changes and the growth within this space. I've been on this campus for 18 years. I came as an assistant professor of psychology, taught throughout my time here at Mills College, and eventually became associate provost a little bit before the merger. So I worked closely with students and helped them transition into this new space. But the reason why this is so exciting to me to be able to lead the Institute is because the Institute is basically my home. I built my career here, and I chose to come here because Mills was really exciting to me as a women's college. I grew up, throughout my time in Hong Kong and in the UK in girls' schools, basically all my life. So Mills College had a very interesting and important space in my heart. And to be able to lead the Institute into the future is truly an honor. So I wanted to start with that. And to also tell you a little bit about the difference between the Mills Institute and Mills College at Northeastern. So even though we share the name Mills because we came from the same legacy of Mills College, the Mills Institute was a new institute created not too long ago, as you just heard, and it really is a think tank, the innovative space where we could continue to create new programs that would continue to help us to advance the legacy of Mills College, which was a women's college for 169 years before the merger. So that is truly important and really front and center for our work. And if you go to our website, you would see that we highlight the fact that the Mills Institute is advancing the legacy of Mills College through the work that we do. And you all know that Mills College had been basically at the forefront of innovation and experimentation all those years as a women's college. And it opened its door when women did not have a chance to get an education, meaning that it had always been at the forefront of innovation. So that's what we want to carry into the future. We want to continue to open up doors and opportunities to as many people as possible. And you can see that today, through our presentation of our programs, our research, and some of the professional development opportunities, that's actually the core mission of the Institute. So I have a lot of slides for you today. And also, of course, I have two of my associate directors with me, Associate Director of Programs, Lynn Santo-Pietro, and also Associate Director of Research, Lisa Ariano, who will be giving the presentation as well. So maybe we should start the slideshow and then we could show you some pictures, um, our space, and also talk a little bit more about our future of the Institute. So if we go to the next slide, this is our space. If you haven't been back to the campus, you should come back to visit us. First of all, because the space is beautiful. We are in Mills Hall, and we have decorated this room 128, and several offices also along with it, with artwork from the art museum, the Mills Art Museum. So you can see here of myself giving a talk to alums during reunion, during an interview with somebody, and also Chris Russell, one of our major donors, doing a little film within the space. So it is truly beautiful. I welcome all of you to come back if you have a chance. And if we go to the next slide, you can see our mission and some of the work that we're doing, and the pillars that we work with every single day. So if you look at the diagram on the left, you can see basically our mission statement in action. So I have created something called the LEAD approach. So LEAD, lead. You would never forget that, right? No one forgets how to spell that word. But that word is really important to us because it actually centers why we're doing this work going forward. So each letter within this word stands for a pillar. L stands for leverage, leveraging the global network. We now have a chance to spread the good work of the Mills legacy through a bigger network. The university is global, Northeastern is global, so we have many different campuses, 13 to be exact, and also a lot of work partners, including the ones that Mills College used to be very close to. We're still continuing to cultivate those relationships. So our work has now become global, which is really exciting. We work really closely with equity-focused partners, and throughout this presentation, you would hear us talk about the people that we work with, the organizations that we work with. And then advancing new research. Lisa will tell you all about the research that we're doing. It's an arm that's truly growing significantly within the Institute, and we're really, really proud of it. And then, of course, D stands for developing impactful programs. Lynn would tell you about all the programs that are now currently under the Institute. Many of them you would recognize because they are actually Mills legacy programs that we have reimagined through this global network. So on the right here, you see the diagram that we have created to kind of capture all of what we do at this time at the Institute. It's an integration of the innovation, the people, and the spirit of our work. And as you can see, our programs go from pre-college to career entry, all the way to professional development and executive education. You see that circle, right? And we highlight those spaces because what we really want to do is to continue to support people in transitions, and especially populations that may be marginalized and underrepresented. And in order to do that work, we need to work with the whole population. We need to bring people into the conversations of why this work is important. And that shouldn't just be done with one group of people. But what we really want to do is continue to uplift opportunities for people that are left out of decision-making tables. That's what we want to do. We want to continue to kind of, leverage the spirit that we had at Mills all along, that we were a women's college created at a time when women didn't go to college, but continue to do that for populations that may not necessarily be immediately leaders or immediately at the decision-making table, like I said earlier. So if we go to the next slide, you can see that the Mills Institute is now pretty well established. We have 5 core members, and actually we have a few more now that we're actually adding a few more people next month. It's truly growing. We have a few program leads and student assistants as well. If you come to our space, you would see that we're always pretty active, especially during the year. And we also have 20 plus faculty affiliates. I think we're up to 25 at this time. Research advisors, Lisa will tell you all about them. This is a very special group of researchers and scholars that are helping us think through what makes sense for us as we continue to build our research arm at the Institute. And then we have lots of fellows, research fellows in the RJI program, for example, that Lisa would also tell you about. And then lots of mentors. Lynn would tell you all about these mentors. Some of them are here in this call today. We welcome alums to come back and be mentors to our students. We have many programs that are specifically designed for mentorship and leadership, and we can't do this work without our industry mentors and our alum mentors. So we thank you for being partners with us in that. And then, of course, the highlight is always students, right? Student success. And we have now educated and worked with over 80 students. I think probably even more now that we have added a few more programs. And if you count Upward Bound and Mills Educational Talent Search, that's over 1,000 students. Those are huge programs that are federally funded that are also under the Institute. So with that, I want to go to the next slide. So this is our core team at this time. And of course, like I said, it's continuing to grow. And within each of these sections, you would see a few people supporting the leaders that are here as well. So you have myself, Lisa, and Lynn, whom you would hear from today. We're adding a new program manager who is starting in a few days, actually on July 7th. So Quinn Prado Diaz would be joining us as a program manager. We'll be working with Lynn directly in helping with programs such as Russell, Hellman, and Trailblazers that you will hear about today. We have Myra, who is our Mills Educational Talent Search Program Director. She oversees this program that is federally funded, and it works with 1,000 students a year in Oakland. So it's a really huge program. Ali Chaggy-Star is our new interim Upward Bound program director. And Upward Bound is a pretty famous TRIO program, which is also under the same umbrella as Mills Educational Talent Search. And she would work with over 300 students every year in the community. So these are middle school and high school students. And then, of course, Jennifer Arthur, you probably have heard from her or have received something from her if you have any kind of interaction with us. She supports me as an executive assistant and also the Institute in general. She's amazing in program planning and event planning. So eventually you would meet her. And then, of course, Diana is our grant writer and has been with Mills for over 6 years now and has transitioned into the Institute to continue to help us find opportunities for growth and to write proposals, which is a daily thing for us to continue to get support from foundations and donors. Okay, so if we go to the next slide, you would see all the programs that you would probably hear about today. I'm not going to go through the slide line by line, but this is really just to give you a sense of how exciting and vibrant the Institute has been in the last 2 years. We have programs starting from pre-college to Northeastern students benefiting from the programs that have been around on this campus for years, to faculty doing research with us, partners coming in as scholars and fellows, and also international partnerships. So I'll tell you more about that. But right now, I think I'm going to hand the mic over to Lisa to tell us about research.
Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to see folks here. I have a lot of things that, for those of you who can hear the Mills Tower bell in the background, that should be familiar. I have a lot of things I'm really excited to share with you. So I have to go pretty quickly, but I'm happy to answer questions about any or all of this at the end of my presentation or at the end. I'm going to talk first about what we did this year and then a little bit about what's coming in the next year. Just for those of you who have not met me, I taught at Mills prior to the transition, through the transition, am also a women's college grad. So this work is really close to my heart. I'm a career women's gender and sexuality studies professor and program builder, and I'm really excited to be at the Institute, being able to think about how to do that work in this context. So this year, we really had 4 kind of key things: the Radical Care convening in November, the Research Advisory Board, the Innovation Lab Speaker Series, and a relaunch of The Womanist, a Mills College legacy publication. You can see there a photo from our launch party this spring. I can say that those are the students, some of the student contributors, and it was really clear at that event that this publication, participating in this work, continues to be incredibly meaningful and incredibly powerful. You also see there Susan Ito, who is serving as an alum editor and helping these students understand what it meant to make this publication and how to do that now. We look forward to continuing that work in the coming years. Everything I'm about to describe, everything we did this year was really intended to introduce the Institute, its key areas of concern and interest, to communicate both to folks here in Oakland throughout the network and to alums, our partners in Oakland, what it is we are thinking about, what we are committed to as an institute in the area of research. So lots of introductory work, and that's what I want to talk about now. Can you go to the next slide? So in November, we had an Empowering Change Through Radical Care conference, brought 3 really wonderful and quite different thinkers to campus. What was important about this conference was our commitment to creating a public, inviting, and open space for complicated, hard, politically committed thinking. That was really what we wanted to communicate in this event and through it. Probably the nicest thing I heard that day was someone who came almost tearful to me and said, "This feels like Mills." And I thought, yeah, that's exactly right. We wanted to capture what was true about the place in its tradition of hard, committed thinking, and at the same time move that set of practices into the future through a new form at the Institute. So I'm happy to talk more about the specifics of that event. I will just say it was, some of you were there. We were very, very happy to see you. And the idea of radical care also really being something that captures the front edge of interdisciplinary thinking in gender and racial justice scholarship, in inviting lots of different kinds of thinkers to the table to think about something that is both intimately important, I think, to many of us, but also incredibly important at the level of structures and change and political futures. So really capturing through that theme, I hope, the way the Institute wants to do research work moving into the future. Next slide. So soon after I came on board full-time in September, I convened what we are calling the Research Advisory Board, probably some familiar faces there, including Marilyn, who I think is on the call. This is an incredibly wonderful group of people, not only representing decades of expertise in gender and racial justice scholarship, but decades of expertise and experience in interdisciplinary program building. And at this time in particular, where it has been challenging to do this work, this is an invaluable group of thinkers and advocates and interlocutors for me and the Institute to think about not just the commitment to doing this work, but how one does this work. And I'm grateful to all of these folks. I've met with them individually, collectively throughout the year. They represent 5 different colleges, a variety of different interdisciplines, and they're really a wonderful asset to the Institute. Folks, you might recognize Brenda and Kirsten and Dana from Mills College, and then folks from Northeastern in Boston as well. The next slide. We also held a series of events that we called Innovation Lab Speaker Series or Speaker Events. These were a combination of online events and an in-person event. Again, I think many of you folks attended one or more of these. You can see here the areas of specific intellectual commitment for the Institute: reproductive justice, LGBTQIA research, educational equity, economic equity. Again, these are areas of principal concern. We will continue to nurture researchers in these particular, can you go back, topic areas in the coming year. We're also learning as we're doing this, how best to communicate our work to the folks that we want to be in conversation with. When should these be in-person events? When do we have online events that invite folks in? How to use hybrid events most effectively? And so we would always love feedback on this. When do you want to hear from us about the research that's happening here? In all cases, these, I think, were really wonderful events and did help introduce the Institute and its work to various audiences. But again, I think I've learned a lot from having these events and from being in conversation with folks on this campus doing programming. So we'd love to hear from you about which of these formats might work best. Now we can go to the next slide. Okay, so moving into next year, these are our plans. First, we're really trying here to build on our successes from this year and continue to grow and develop our connections with and our relationships with research partners, folks who are doing any kind of scholarly work in the larger Northeastern network that aligns with our mission. So in the interest of that, our next year's research theme is solidarities. We hope both to build on our existing and growing solidarities with our partners and our allies in the network, but also because solidarities captures something very important and powerful about how all of us broadly are continuing to do gender and racial justice work under some challenging conditions at the moment. We are going to, can you go to the next slide then? Thanks. So For those of you who are familiar with research justice at the intersections, this is a legacy Mills program. Traditionally brings in a group of scholars every year to read and write and think together. It's a really powerful program. I myself participated as a scholar in this program a number of years ago. We are relaunching the program next year in its legacy Mills College form. So this is the group of the 8 scholars that will be joining us midsummer. It's a mixture of folks from the Northeastern Network and from outside, all of whom are doing really exciting new work in research justice. I'm excited not only about the work that each of these individuals are doing, but in the conversations that are emerging between and among these scholars. So some really interesting concentrations in legal equity work, in educational equity work, health equity. So I think we're not only going to be able to support scholars whose work we believe in, but nurture some emerging conversations. And that's really what we would like to do in the long term through the Mills Institute. Can you go to the next slide? We are also launching a new grant program called the Innovation Lab Grants. This builds on and expands from the speakers events we've been doing. These are, I think, in scientific terms, small grants. For humanists, maybe mid-sized grants, but really wanting to identify folks in the Northeastern Network whose work is allied with our mission. The project has to be in line with our theme. Those applications are due June 30th. So I can't tell you much yet about who these folks will be. But what I can tell you is that we are prioritizing applications that include what we are calling a supportive research relationship. And this captures what Christie was saying about our understanding of and commitment to a Mills College legacy to bringing folks to the table who are not already included. We understand that research itself can be a space with a lot of inequity, and we want to intervene in that by being really mindful of folks who are unaffiliated, independent scholars, maybe junior scholars, less well-resourced, by making sure that this grant money goes, at least in some significant measure, to bring those folks into the conversation as well. So we're really excited about this as a pilot, and I will look forward to maybe updating folks about what happens in this program sometime in the coming months. And then my last slide. And then the other pilot we're running right now is a collaborative fellowship with the Art Museum. And the idea of this fellowship is that a scholar will produce a piece of public-facing work, could be a talk, could be a paper, focused on one or more objects in the Mills College Art Museum collection. Their centennial is next year, so we're very excited to be part of those celebrations. But more importantly, this is also an idea that we hope to replicate in coming years to materialize our commitment to partnerships. So we have discussed, for example, this kind of fellowship with the music collection in Mills College, or with one or more sets of documents in special collections. That could be here in Oakland or in Boston. The idea being a focused and concentrated fellowship to really help support and sustain and advance our relationship with a partner through a research form. So I know that was a lot of content. I'm super excited about all of this programming. As Christie said, we are growing fast, but I think in some really exciting and positive ways. I'd love to answer questions if anybody has any later, but for now, I will turn the mic over to Lynn.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everyone. I'm Lynn Santapietro. I oversee the programs here at the Mills Institute, and I've been on board here for about a year. I got my start in higher ed administration and student affairs. So my approach with everything is sort of students first. I also went to a small college, and I attribute sort of much of my growth and my development, and I have a special place in my heart for small colleges. It had a huge influence on my life. So I was excited for this role, and the first thing that the majority of my sort of year in this position has been focused on bringing Mills College legacy programs under the Mills Institute and launching them here at Northeastern with the sort of same spirit that they had at Mills College. So many of these are programs that you all may know and love, and they now sort of sit under the the Institute. So just a snapshot of, I'm going to talk mostly about last year, and I'll touch a little bit on our plans for the future, but we had a great year. So the Mills Institute supports the Mills, the METS program and Upward Bound program. Both of those programs are helping youth from disadvantaged backgrounds access higher education. And we serve many students year round and also concentrated in the summer. Those are both federally funded programs. We brought back to life the summer academic workshop, which is under a new name called Trailblazers, and we supported 22 students this year. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. This year we had 31 Russell Scholars. It's the biggest, that's the Russell Women in Science Leadership Scholars Program. That's the biggest the program's ever been, with 12 faculty mentors, and we launched the program both in Oakland as well as Boston. We launched the Hellman Experiential Science Program. We've adapted that to Northeastern. We have 12 student scholars this past year and 9 mentors. I'll also talk more about that. As Christy mentioned, we had for the first time, we had 4 student assistants who sort of serve as our ambassador and help us with our social media and help us just stay in touch with students. We launched 2 Russell Women in Science lectures this year. We had one in the fall. It's the first time we've ever done that. There were 2 accomplished women in science. And then we launched, we're the advisors for a student club called WISE, Women Interdisciplinary Society of Entrepreneurship. They launched for the first time here in Oakland under our advising. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Trailblazers. Trailblazers is summer academic workshop now here at Northeastern. So it serves a broader population of students, but it has the same heart and soul of the SAW program. We are focused on low-income first-generation students, helping them transition to college. The students joined us in the summer for a virtual 3-day summer session, and they met periodically throughout the academic year. The cohort came together for dinners and workshops. Each Trailblazer Scholars was assigned a mentor, many of which are Mills College SAW alums who agreed to help our students make this transition to college. We had an end of the year celebration. It was full of love and gratitude. Many students, many alums joining us, students saying positive things, alums saying positive things. Here are just a few highlights that the students shared at the event, that they felt safe and comfortable being themselves, supported, inspired. This program changed their lives, or their mentor changes their lives. It was a great reintroduction of this program, and we feel really proud about it. This year, we'll be adding some new things. We're going to have an in-person summer session. So the students are going to get to arrive to campus 2 days early, where they're going to really bond and form a cohort and get connected to the campus community. We're also adding back, which is true for summer academic workshop, a $2,500 scholarship for each student. We heard from students that they needed help. They needed help buying computers or their books, and so this is a way to help. And this is a really easy way to help support the Mills Institute, and specifically our students. These $2,500 scholarships make a huge difference. So this was our this year, we celebrated 10 years of the Russell Women in Science lectures. We hosted our 10th speaker. It was Dr. Naomi Oreskes. Dr. Naomi Oreskes joined a long list of accomplished women in STEM who have come to this campus to speak to our community. This is all made possible by Christine Russell. Christine is a Mills College alum, class of 71, and a science journalist. Chris continues to support this program under the Mills Institute and sees its success, and is looking for others and members of our community to join her and help to continue to support both the Mills Institute and the Russell program. Under the Mills Institute, we have hosted 3 speakers since the program moved to the Mills Institute. Our first was in the spring of 2024. Carla Broadley is a professor and dean at Northeastern. She's the dean of inclusive computing. And Rita Ng joined us in the fall. That's the first time we had two speakers in one year. Rita is the physician-in-chief at Kaiser Permanente. And then Naomi Oreskes is a professor of history of science at Harvard. She joined us this spring. Naomi is actually best known for her work and her research that influenced Al Gore's documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. We saw many of you all there, so thank you for joining us and continuing to support that lecture series. Russell is a two-part program. The second part came later. It's a scholars program where we match students with faculty in research. This year, we grew the program 5 times its size. So we had 31 total student scholars and 12 faculty. You'll recognize many of the faculty. They're MC and Mills College of Northeastern faculty. This is a picture of our students here in Oakland and the 6 faculty that supported those students. And then in Boston, we had a similar size group and another 6 faculty who joined us. They are all from the College of Science. So this is the first time we can say that Russell is a bi-coastal program. Lastly, the Hellman Experiential Science Program it continues to support first generation and underrepresented student populations in STEM. We've adapted the program under the Mills Institute to focus on STEM mentorship. This year, students worked on a STEM project with a mentor and presented at the end of year showcase. And these are some of their projects and some of the students. It's an impressive group of students, and topics that and the presentations were great. That's kind of the end of my slides. In future for us, we are hiring a program manager who's going to take on many of the details of these programs, who's going to help us grow these programs. For each one of these, they are becoming, we learned a lot this first year, and we now know how to make them stronger. Some of them they're going to be year-long programs. For instance, the Russell Scholars Program is going to launch in October. Others, the Hellman Program we're going to adapt it to include graduate students as mentors. We'll be adding more programming for alums, specifically Mills College alums, and new programming for graduate students, new programming in Boston, more public-facing events. So more to come on all of that. Turn it back over to Christy.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you, Lisa, also. This has been an amazing year. I mean, having Lynn and Lisa help grow and build the Institute had been an amazing experience. Actually, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We're happy to answer them. So I'm going to come back in to tell you about the third arm of the Institute. So you heard about research, you heard about programs, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about the professional development space and also the global connections that we've been creating through the work that we're doing. So if we go to the next slide. You can see that we actually held several really exciting events, including executive education programs for community partners, people in the industry. And you can see that on the left side, this is a picture of a program we call Next Level Success that we actually created with the business school at Northeastern. So they're all women that joined us in November. And it was really a program designed so that we could continue to support people who are in career transitions or who are preparing for advancement in careers. So this is really our goal, to continue to support people that may not necessarily see themselves as leaders, but are already in spaces that could continue, where they could continue to grow. So the program was really successful. We're hoping to recreate that this coming year with even more leaders in the mix. And then on the right, you can see this conference that we held together with some partners in Boston, but we held this one in Oakland. So this is the first time that the Women of Color in the Academy Conference was held here on this campus with it's open to everyone, but really to highlight women of color who are in the academy, in higher education, leading. And there are amazing people who have spoken during this conference. We had the president of Simmons University be the keynote speaker. I gave a little talk about my new book, which I will tell you about a little bit today as well. But you can see from this picture, almost 45 people joined us that day, which means, there is a huge gap that we're still filling. And many of them identify as women of color, even though the conference is open to all. So I think, for us, it's so exciting to see that our work is totally relevant at this time and it still continued to be recognized and important as we continue to grow and change within the global network. And we continue to do this work with as many partners as possible. I know some of you actually joined us that day, so I was really excited to see Mills alums continue to come back to our events. If you go to the next slide, this is another program that we were so excited to launch this year. So this is called the Inspired Leader Fellows Program. And you can see Lynn and Lisa were both in the program this year. But this was a program kind of like a pilot for something that we're now launching publicly. So this past year, the program was internal to Northeastern. And we uplifted and did a lot of coaching and workshops with internal Northeastern leaders who are either, in career transitions or preparing for advancement or can be doing more or want to do more in their careers. And as you can see, this cohort was also all women. And we actually had a really good chance to highlight some amazing women leaders in higher education. They came and gave speeches, did some workshops, and the program went on for about 6 months. So now the program is open for application again. We are welcoming in a new cohort in 2025, 2026, and it's a public event, so anyone could join us basically. So if you're interested, I could put the link in the chat and you're welcome to join us, especially if you're in higher education. So the whole goal is to continue to cultivate leadership, especially from people that are not represented currently in leadership within higher education space. And as you can see, there's still a lot of work to be done. If you look around and see who's actually leading universities at this time, there's a lot of work to be done. And on the right-hand side there, that's my book, Inspired to Lead. We've been, I've been trying to teach from this book, and that's why I wrote it, to be honest. It's a lot of materials that I use in my lectures in terms of leadership through the age of AI and all of that. So I put all that into this book. You're welcome to actually look into it. But if you ever come to some of our events, you may actually get a book for free. So I welcome you to come back and visit us sometime. So if you go to the next slide, I could also say that this past year had been amazing for the Institute and also my leadership. So I was recognized on TV, Chrome TV, as a remarkable woman this year. And it's all because of my leadership of the Mills Institute. So I want to thank all of you, to be honest, to even, support me in this particular journey as a leader. But as you can see, if you go on to the segment, Mills, the college and the campus is highlighted. So I was just really excited to tell you about that. And then if you go to the next slide, you can see that our work at the Institute has now crossed borders around the world. So I have actually created many partnerships and in terms of research and programs, as well as just giving talks, right, to people around the world. So for example, Ochanomizu University in Japan is a women's university that we now have some research collaboration with. And actually, Lisa worked with several people to give an innovation lab talk last year, which is specifically to kind of highlight Ochanomizu's expertise, some of the work in gender and racial justice in Japan, which is a very different context compared to the US. And previous to that, I also gave a talk at their university to their students. The students had a time to kind of exchange ideas with our students here in the US. It was really exciting to see that exchange. And I also recently went to Malaysia. I gave a talk to 50 students who are in a program called the American Transfer Degree Program. And these are all students who are interested in learning more about what life is like in the US, around the world. So they have a chance to learn more about the Institute and Northeastern University. So whenever I go around the world, I talk about the general global network and what we're doing throughout the world, and also bring the Mills name to more people as well. So that was truly exciting and eye-opening as well to see how people are viewing the way that we create opportunities in education, learning opportunities for students. I also went to Singapore. So on the right side, you can see I was at an event speaking to many alums and interested students who may be considering coming to the US to study, especially in a global university such as Northeastern, and also learning a bit more about the legacy of Mills, because Mills Institute created several events around the world that is in collaboration with an initiative called the Women Who Empower Initiative at Northeastern. So when I was in Singapore, I gave a talk about Women Who Empower and the Mills Institute. In Hong Kong, I did the same. So you can see in the picture there are lots of people that came to this event. It was also a Women Who Empower event. And I also went to Mexico for a conference, which was an education innovation conference that allowed us to learn more about how AI is changing teaching and learning and how that could eventually help us with access in education. So that was truly eye-opening, and I would love to do more work with Tech de Monterey in terms of inclusivity in education and opening up more opportunities for leaders and learners. Because we're in an age of AI, we can't not talk about that. So that was truly exciting to me. And if you go to the next slide, you would see that I was also going around the country talking to Mills alums. And in fact, I met many of you in person. For example, in San Diego last year in April, and then I went to Chicago in September, in Seattle in December, and then recently went to New York. And I recognize some names today that I just saw you a few months ago, or just last month, actually. It feels like a long time ago, but it was just last month. So it was truly exciting and really exciting for me to be telling you about the Mills Institute. But also, the most exciting part really is about getting to know you as people. And, as some of you probably know, I study cognition. I study people. I'm a psychologist, and specifically about the brain. So in some ways, I like working with people. So in order to truly bring the Mills Institute to life, I understand that it's really the human connections that we need to create with all of you that would allow us to continue to grow and prosper. So if there's a chance for us to do anything together, especially in person, I truly treasure that. So if you have a chance to come back to Reunion, we welcome you to come back in September. If you go to the next slide, you can see that we also have a day called the Mills Institute Day, which is November 6th this year. So if you're on campus in Oakland, please come join us. This is a day that we're still planning, but there will be opportunities to learn more about the programs, research, meet some of the mentors, some of the researchers and scholars that you just heard about, and celebrate the Mills Institute. It's been 2 years under my leadership now, and you can see that, things have really changed since the first time I came to talk about the Institute with all of you. So we're excited to be celebrating on November 6th, and we hope we can do that together with you. And if you go to the next slide, these are just some ways that we thought you could engage with us, but I think there will be many, many more. So we welcome you to participate in our events. All of our events are public and open to all, so you're welcome to come anytime. Many of them are hybrid as well, so you can actually join online. Come co-create programs with us. As you can see from what Lynn and Lisa just talked about, there were many alums that came back to actually create programs with us. So you're welcome to do that. Be a mentor. We have many programs like Trailblazers, Hellman, that would require us to look for mentors. So anytime, if you're interested, please talk to us, email us, and we're always welcoming new ideas and new voices. And then be a speaker. If you have something that you think students would love to learn about, we would love to hear from you, because we're always trying to think, what else can we do? What other workshops or speakers can we bring in for a student event? Sponsor an event. You're welcome to sponsor, let's say, a dinner or a meal for Trailblazers, or in the Hellman program, if you're a mentor, you're welcome to create something with us. And then, of course, finally, making a gift. And we'll put the link in the chat. There is a current use fund that we have created, and there are many ways that you can see how your gift may make a difference in a person's life. It could be a student, it could be a faculty, but like Lynn was saying, even a little bit of money goes a long way for many of our Trailblazer students who may need money for books and computers. So many, many chances for you to make a difference here. And then if you go to the next slide, these are just some links. We have a website, so please join us and look at it, look at what we have on the website. We update that pretty often. So if you go to the program page, you could see all the programs that are open right now. Go to the research page, you would see all the programs and research that Lisa mentioned that are still taking applications. So please join us. And then, yeah, thank you, Nicole. Nicole put the donation link in the chat as well. So that's our current use fund. That means that if you do make a gift, that would be put to good use immediately. And yeah, and with that, thank you so much. We have social media. Please follow us. We do update that really often, so you can see what's going on within the spaces that we just mentioned really quickly. So every week we have something. So thank you. Thank you again for being here. I hope to see many of you in person or online very soon. But I guess we could now stop sharing and come back to the big room so I could see all of you.
Yeah. Thanks, Christy and Lynn and Lisa. That was terrific. A really good overview of the year. As you can see, they have been so busy. And I hope they're building programs and doing research that really makes you proud as a Mills alum. And I really do hope that you'll engage with the Institute in whatever way works for you or inspires you. And I think there'll just be more and more opportunities. So thanks for giving a shout out for Reunion and for giving. I did put the link to the current fund, current use fund there. There's also an endowed fund too. So we have lots of ways that you can support the Institute. So let's do a few questions. The first one that came in was from Debbie Wood, wanting to hear a little bit more about Trailblazers program, and in particular, what was the highlight for students? Lynn, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So similar to the summer academic workshop, Trailblazers supports first generation low-income students in their transition from high school to college. This is the first year we launched the program. We brought the program back and launched it with Northeastern students. And we had, in our original cohort, we had 22 students. They joined us for a virtual session, and the virtual session was all about sort of getting to know each other, and this happened in the summer, getting to know each other, getting to know what resources are available on campus, connecting with, learning what it's like to be a college student versus a high school student from an academic perspective. And then when they got to campus, it's all about sort of bringing the cohort together on a monthly basis. So sometimes once or twice a month. From the very beginning, we connected them with a mentor. They met with their mentor once a month throughout the academic year. And then we brought in different speakers. So connecting them to various resources on campus. We did a session was really popular on financial literacy. So we're always looking for kind of external speakers, people to come in and do workshops with our students as relevant to what they need. So that's how the program went. The highlight, what the students told us, and why the students felt it was impactful was the connection to mentors. Some of them had just an incredible connection with their mentors. Like they said things like, it changed their life, that kind of thing. Just having that kind of connection in their first year, somebody who is also a first generation student to share stories, encouragement, that kind of thing is really helpful to these students. They talked about connections to friends. So, they met their best friends through this program. And then I think lastly, they talked about the connection both to the Mills Institute, our team, and we had a program lead who works in residential life. Her name is Maria, and she met with the students one-on-one and really helped them, maybe at a time when they weren't showing up for our program, and she helped them get back on track by connecting them to resources and pointing them in the right direction. So yeah, that's what I would say about the program. Different than summer academic workshop, there's no curriculum to our program. That might be something we consider in the future, but right now it's about kind of social, emotional, cohort, community building, that kind of thing. Did I
Thanks,
answer your
Lynn.
question? Yeah, Debbie. you have other questions, let me know.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Lynn. So from Moya, a question about federal funding. So Christie, you mentioned that some programs are federally funded. Do you anticipate this funding getting cut? And if so, do you have an alternative plan?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. So at this time, the funding is still fine. So as some of you probably know, the TRIO program has been a program of interest. You know, it's been in discussion and debates quite a bit this year because there is some speculation that it will be cut in a year's time. So not immediately, but so this year we'll be fine. But the following year, we don't know yet. So, which means that we have a little bit of time to think about how we may be able to raise alternative funding. And like I mentioned earlier, we have a grant writer, Diana, who is very active in looking for potential funding for us. And we are now, you know, whenever we have meetings, we talk with both Myra and Ali, who are the leads of the programs within the TRIO space, about what the needs are. How can we continue to support these students if federal funding were to go away? And of course, this is an opportunity for all of us to think deeply about what's truly important to us, right? I mean, in order for the Institute to be successful, we need to have well-rounded programming. And these programs are really specifically important to our mission. So we do want to find ways to continue to support them. And we're very committed, you know, to doing this work. So we're doing our best right now to make sure that the funding we do have would serve the students well. And I can tell you that last week we started Upward Bound on campus, and there are about 90 students that are with us right now on campus. And we continue to want to serve as many students as possible this coming year. We do have to be really careful with our allocation of funding, just because there is a possibility of funding cut. But at this time, that's not reality just yet. Although I really appreciate that question because this is something I think about every day. You know, how else can we support these students? So thank you for that. The second part of your question, are you working with AAMC? We do see AAMC a lot, actually. Nicole and myself talk every week, and I know that Nicole has a very close connection with AAMC, and whenever we have a chance, we do work with AAMC officials very closely. So our goal is to continue to create and co-create programs if we can, and if there are ways for us to think about potential scholarships for students, that's another way for us to continue to engage with different groups of alums. So if you have any ideas for us, please just reach out. We're always here to have conversations and discuss future plans.
And Christie, for that, I'll just add too, the Alumni of Color Committee of the AAMC has also been working closely with Lynn and Lisa to help inspire an event at Reunion. We're wanting to do kind of a book talk or book discussion. So they've been really helpful thought partners in identifying the right book that we'll present to alums and kind of helping guide that conversation, and have also been engaged in hearing more about, you know, the Trailblazers program and how they can be involved as mentors. So it's great to kind of bring these different committees together and groups of alums to engage with the Institute. Okay, let's see. Next question. Erica Dominguez asks, what kind of programs have been co-created by alums?
That's a great question. So Russell Women in Science Leadership, for example, was co-created with Chris Russell, who was alum. And Lisa also mentioned several research programs that we currently have a few alums involved in our research advisory board. So Lisa, do you want to say a few more words about that?
Well, as I mentioned, Marilyn, who I think may have stepped off the call, but she's been a really wonderful advisor to me as someone with experience of both mills at the point of the merger and in this field more broadly. We also have some alums coming back to campus through the Research Justice at the Intersection program. So what that means is that we will be working with them in the coming year to think about how can we build sustainable research projects at the Institute that speak to or that involve alumna research. So we're working on that. It's going to be an evolving set of ideas on the research end, but we're really excited that we have those folks coming back to campus who are now working in not just academic fields, but in law, in a variety of different sort of areas. And so I think having those folks as partners as we build research will be really interesting and really useful.
Mm. Yeah, and I think, Lisa, you mentioned the fellowship with the Art Museum. Would you like to say a few more words about that? Because I see a question here from Yvonne.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Arts.
Yvonne, one of the reasons we wanted to do the Art Museum Fellowship was precisely to materialize in the fastest possible way a conversation Christie and I have been having for about the last year about really wanting to do something that is more specifically related to the arts. So when we first designed this idea, we were really clear that we wanted to work with the Art Museum. And the second idea was something in the music collection. That's a little bit harder because that very large mass of materials is being digitized, and there's a lot there maybe not yet ready for a researcher to sort of work in those documents. But it was the other area of our immediate concern, precisely in order to manifest a commitment to the arts. We've also, and Lynn, you can maybe talk more about this, but something we've talked about that we call loosely Hellman for other things is an idea we've had for a while, that is, we should think about ways to build student scaffolding for those students who are majoring in something that is not necessarily the sciences, right? How would we sort of help folks work in maybe social justice majors like WGSS or ethnic studies, or how can we help students who are pre-law or students who are majoring in music or any of the applied arts. So we have this very much on our mind. I can say that the first sort of opening salvo was the immediacy of the Art Museum collaboration. We really wanted to, I guess, sort of make manifest and very legible our commitment, our interest in this, and we'll keep building that. But that was the fastest thing we could do to really address that. And as somebody who comes from the humanities and more of that side of the campus, I understand and I'm really sympathetic to that question. I think the STEM stuff's great, and I think we need to do this other work as well. So it's very much in our mind. And Lynn just reminded me that, of course, that was one of the reasons we wanted to do the Womanist as well, right? We really wanted to not just support that legacy commitment to the arts, but the production of student creative process itself. By the way, I meant to say, if any of you all want a copy, please let us know. We are excited to mail them out to folks. We already have some alums who've asked, and we want to get those mailed out to folks so you can see what the students came up with this semester. So that's sort of some preliminary answers around the question of research and arts. And I don't know if there's anything else, Lynn or Christie.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa. I mean, it is really important to keep in mind that the Institute is multidisciplinary. We don't have a discipline that we are specifically highlighting, right? Because gender and racial justice really spans all disciplines. It's actually for everybody. So I mean, you may think that some of our programs are STEM-based, and one of the main reasons is because those are the legacy programs that we immediately brought into the Institute the first year, but it doesn't mean that's where we stop, right? Because gender and racial justice is a really, really big topic, and it would never go away. It's a really important core mission of all universities. And for us to be able to do this work, within a big university such as Northeastern, is yet another chance for us to continue to spread the excellence of Mills. And that's what I always think about. The whole reason why this even became an institute is because there was something really special about the Mills spirit and the Mills legacy. And we don't just serve one group of people, we actually serve all, and it's actually multidisciplinary. So if you have any ideas for us, please just reach out, because we're always here brainstorming, thinking about new things. Lynn and Lisa always meet and talk about new ideas, and we have way too much, right, to often think about, but there are ways for us to create something brand new and innovative in this space. This is the think tank. So yeah, we welcome all of you to come talk to us.
So Christie, I'm popping a few links in the
good.
chat.
All right,
One, your email address, which goes to, I think, directly to Jennifer or maybe the whole team. But if you want a copy of The Womanist, please go there. There's also a digital copy, isn't there? Is there a link that we can share with everyone if they want a digital copy?
I think the digital copy you could get to through the website. It's
perfect.
It is a lovely object, I should say, right? The Womanist in its original form was a thing you could hold and read, and it's a lovely thing they made. And so please feel free to reach out for a paper copy if you'd like to have one.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then I also just added a link to subscribe to the Mills Institute email newsletter. So lots of ways to, learn more. Hopefully you're all already subscribed to the newsletter. We also push out information about the Mills Institute through my office with alumni relations. And so there's lots of ways to continue to stay involved. I just noticed what time it is. So I am going to end the program for now because we promised we'd be done at 1. And I'm happy to stay on and answer any other questions that folks might have, or if you just want to chat, I love to do that too. So thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Christy and Lynn and Lisa, for sharing all these really great updates. And again, I hope we've made you proud. I hope we've inspired you to get involved and to give back. So thank you again for being with us.